Welcome to Good Game Spawn Point, the show for younger gamers by gamers. I'm Barjo.
And I'm Hex.
And I'm the data-analysing robot for the ruthless extermination of noobs.
Or Darren for short.
I'm not short. My legs extend to a height of 20 metres. I can show you if you like.
Oh, I'm fine, really. This week, Pokemon is back in HeartGold and SoulSilver. We review it on Nintendo DS.
We sort through your one-face reviews on FIFA 10 and reach a verdict.
Well, you have to keep your nerve, and that you do.
Darren, is your Pokemon database up to date and complete?
Affirmative.
Look, I've started a Cyndaquil which has evolved into a Quilava, but what will it evolve to next?
Well, your Quilava or Volcano Pokemon, Barger, will evolve into a Typhlosion. Typhlosion carries the same coloration of its lower forms. Its yellow fur is brighter than it is on Quilava. Its fur is incredibly coarse, dry, and somewhat shaggy, but still fireproof. This
Sorry.
fur, when rubbed together by
Darren, I'll let you finish, but at the end of the episode, okay, we've got a review to do.
No, sports sport.
Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver are remakes or reboots of the original Gold and Silver released back in the year 2000 for the Game Boy Color.
These were great games, and if you played them, then you're in for a huge nostalgia trip because, besides the graphical update, they're essentially the same game.
That's right, you travel around the Johto region capturing Pokemon, sending them into battle, leveling them up, and fighting bosses to collect badges to open up access to the next town.
It's brilliant stuff, and you have to hand it to Ninty with this franchise. It's so simple and yet so complicated, and I know that sounds totally contrary, but given the hundreds of Pokemon to collect and all the choices you have to make about which ones to level and which ones to take into battle, it's possible to sink 100 hours or more into this and still not have caught them all.
One thing that's new about HeartGold and SoulSilver is the Pokewalker. Basically, you hold it close to your DS and choose which Pokemon you'd like to take for a walk. Then, as you go about your day, it's basically a pedometer, so every step you take adds experience. But then when you get home, you can send your Pokemon back to the DS and hopefully it's leveled up.
I like taking my Pokemon around with me. It gave me that Tamagotchi-like feeling, and I kept wanting to check how many steps I'd taken. I'm not sure if it's enough to turn someone from a couch potato into a fitness fanatic, but it definitely adds a new dimension to the game.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm glad they did too, because otherwise I might be feeling a bit ripped off here, Badge. I mean, it's a bit sneaky of Ninty, don't you think, to take a game from 10 years ago and give it a slight overhaul, then re-release it. It's not like I can take my old Game Boy game and say, hey, you can have the new version for free because I've already bought the game once.
Yeah, it's a good point, and I guess you could argue that there's a whole new generation of DS players who now get the chance to play this game.
Yeah, my other slight beef with the game though is that there's only one save slot. I can understand why, as the game is huge, but it does mean if you want to play as a family, you're going to have multiple copies. And you can't lend it to a mate without having your own game overwritten.
Yeah, it seems harsh, especially as the DSi has its own SD card slot. Final thoughts?
Well, I still think it's a masterpiece. It was then and it is now, and the Pokewalker is very cute. I'm giving it a 9.
I agree. It sort out your save slots, Ninty, but yeah, it's great fun. I'm giving it 9 too.
Gemma. Go. Walkies.
Stand by, Virgil. I hope we're not too late, Father. FAB, Virgil. Mobile control to Thunderbird 2.
Hex, I think it's time again to plunder the inboxes and see what's bothering our dear spawn of Australia.
Alrighty then, let's see. How about we start with this from Jareth in Elizabethvale, South Australia.
In Super Mario Galaxy, I beat the final boss, and after the credits, it didn't unlock Luigi. How do you unlock him? Well, unlocking Luigi is pretty straightforward. You'll need to have collected all 120 Power Stars, which means you'll need to complete every mission, including the Comet mission and the Secret Stars.
Once all 120 stars are yours, simply speak to Rosalina in the observatory and request to fight Bowser again. Once you beat him, let the credits roll all the way to the end, and then hey presto, Luigi will be unlocked.
Now, Luigi is a bit trickier to control than Mario. He moves faster and skids around a lot more, but if you're up for the challenge, then try playing through the whole game again as Luigi and see if you can net yourself the coveted 121st star.
Okay, well, while we're talking about Super Mario Galaxy, let's quickly move on to this one from Roland in Ballarat. My friend told me that there is a Super Mario Galaxy 2 coming out. Is that true? And if so, can you give me a sneak peek?
Yes, that's true. And here's a quick sneak peek. Okay, that's enough of that. Moving on, and we've got this from Alexander in Brisbane.
Are there any shooting games that are for kids that are PG?
Well, Alexander, there aren't many around due to the fact that games that let you shoot things tend to earn an M for mature rating, even if it's fairly cartoony violence like Halo.
There are a few you could try if you're really desperate for some pew-pew action that have a PG or lower rating. There's Penguin Arena on PC, which is fairly old now, but offers up some online first penguin shooting action.
Or there's NPPL Championship Paintball 2009, available for all the recent consoles, which gives you some decent paintballing shenanigans.
Moving on to this from Thomas in Melbourne.
Is Project Natal just a copy of the iToy or a piece of new gaming tech? Well, Natal and the iToy are both cameras, but that's about where the similarity ends.
Yeah, whereas the iToy is pretty much just a glorified webcam, Natal is actually an all-new piece of gaming tech that can capture your entire body's movements very precisely in full 3D, right down to your individual fingers and even in the dark.
Now, we won't go into all the technical details of how it does all that techno-wizardry because it will take way too long to explain properly, and it's boring, but it's certainly got our interest and we're excited to see the games they'll be showing off for it at this year's E3. Will they be rubbish? Will they be awesome? Only time will tell. Don't hit my book.
You were hitting your book.
You can do what I want.
All right, well, I think we've got time to squeeze in one more, so moving on. Then there's this from Oliver in Falconbridge.
Whenever I turn on my Xbox 360, red rings flash on and off. What's going on? Oliver, there's only two possibilities. If you've got the entire ring of light flashing red, then it means that the video cable isn't plugged in properly. Just check your connection and you should be good to go.
But if you've just got 3/4 of the ring flashing, well, I'm sorry to break the bad news, but you've just suffered from the red ring of death. Your Xbox has ceased to be.
It's an Xbox. But thankfully, if it's less than 3 years old, you can get it repaired for free. So what you'll need to do is go to the Xbox website and under the support tab, click on registration and repair and fill out all the paperwork, ship off your Xbox, and they'll fix it up for you. And I think on that sad note, we're well and truly out of time for this week.
As always, we want your questions, so get over to our website here and send them in.
Did you know there are some people in the world who are so good at games, they compete in tournaments and win lots of cash?
It's their job. They do it for a living.
We caught up with Legionnaire, who's an Australian who did just that.
Hi, my name's Peter Neat, aka Legionnaire. For 3 years I spent my time in Korea pro gaming, which pretty much means I got paid to play computer games. I first started playing StarCraft in the final year of high school, which probably wasn't a good idea at the time. From there, I just started playing more and started competing at a higher level. StarCraft's a real-time strategy game. It's a game of skills, so whoever plays the best generally wins the most games. The goal is to play better than your opponent and to destroy them. It's the 4th biggest sport over in Korea. It's after soccer, basketball, baseball, and then it's StarCraft.
Aircon locked.
Probably first realised it more by accident when I was playing at the first World Cyber Games in Sydney. I managed to come 3rd when I hadn't really been playing it that much at that point. It's from there that I realised that I could probably take it a bit further. The first World Cyber Games over in Korea, I was the only Australian that managed to win a match over there. And because of that, they offered me to stay, but at the time I had no idea how big pro gaming was over in Korea, and because of that I turned it down. And the next year I went back, I took a chance, I played in as many tournaments over there as I could. Fortunately, I was picked up by a pro team, and from there I stayed for a full 3 years. I told my family, I think it was just over dinner, I just said, I've been given an opportunity, I'm gonna take it. They were very supportive. When I was first over in Korea, I was by myself, I wasn't on a professional team, and because of that I had my own place, my own training hours. But once I was picked up by a pro team, they have team houses called suksos, and all of the players go in there. It's pretty much just a normal house with a massive PC LAN setup, and you play against each other and people online all day, every day. Everyone's friendly, everyone wants the same thing, and that's to do well in their tournaments. Some of the difficult things about being a pro gamer, obviously, is being away from your family. For the Koreans that won the team, their family still supported them. They could always visit them on weekends. For me, that wasn't the case. The most difficult thing was just the practice hours. In Korea, you have to understand, playing computer games is a full-time job. And so all day, every day, instead of going to work or going to university like most people do, you'd be sitting there playing, you'd be thinking about strategies, trying to make things work, just so you can win the tournaments. To play at the very top level for pro gaming of any type takes a lot of dedication. You have to be very focused on what you're doing. Fast key movements or micro is definitely helpful. Strategy thinking, being able to outthink your opponent, all of that definitely helps. My advice to anyone who wants to become a pro gamer is if you got the opportunity, jump at it. Probably the most important thing for beginners is to pay attention to what you've done wrong in matches. Most people let their ego get in the way. When they lose, they just blame it being bad luck. But most of the time it is your own fault, and to review what you've done and make sure you become better so you beat everyone else.
It's time for the One Face Review, the part of the show where we get you to send in a pic of yourself, pulling a facial expression that best represents your feelings on a particular game, along with a thumbtastic rating.
This week we're placing a game on the penalty spot and slamming it one way or the other to find out if it's a horrible miss or a goal!
Goal! Golly, 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 go!
I believe you're referring to the football simulation FIFA 10.
Well, that's right, Darren. It is a FIFA World Cup year, so this is going to be one very important one-face verdict.
FIFA 10 is seen by many as the pinnacle of FIFA games. It started 20 years ago with FIFA International Soccer in 1993, and since then there's been over 20 FIFA games, and that's not even counting the spin-offs and the handheld versions or the FIFA Street Series.
FIFA's presentation has always been excellent. It's certainly a great-looking football game. The realistic animation and convincing ball physics make for some really dynamic play, all with the authentic look of a TV broadcast.
He's still on the ground and no sign of him getting up as yet.
There are over 30 leagues from around the world in FIFA 10, making for a total of 500 clubs and over 40 national teams.
All the best-known players are there, so whether you're a fan of Rooney or Ronaldo, or even someone more obscure like Ricky Lambert, this is a football game which lets you live out all your football fantasies.
In FIFA 10's Be a Pro mode, you can concentrate on perfecting your position on the pitch and try and work your way into the virtual history books.
There are now online leagues consisting purely of player-created football champions. In fact, EA Sports hosts a number of big competitions around the world to find the most skilled virtual footballers in each region. The FIFA Interactive World Cup was won last year by Frenchman Bruce Granick.
Something tells me FIFA is going to be pretty well received by our viewers, Hex. So, Darren, would you like to start your complex computational procedures where you do all the things?
Affirmative. Blending splines, fracturing fractals, frothing milk, vectoring verdicts. Ah, we have a verdict, humans. The Spawn Point viewers look upon FIFA 10 as awesome.
Great stuff, Darren. That's a pretty solid verdict. I think I even heard your CPU crunching as you scanned all those faces.
Actually, Hex, that was the sound of my internal trash compactor, crushing noobs.
If you want to be a part of the Good Game Spawn Point One Face Review, just jump on the website here and submit your picks.
Next week, we want your ultimate facey verdict on the SingStar games. Do they hit the right note or are they just noise pollution? Get voting!
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie.
Well, that's it for another Good Game Spawn Point for this week.
Next week, we'll be rallying the troops, igniting the cannons, and conquering Europe in our review of Napoleon: Total War.
And we'll help you get your game on with the Good Game Top 5 Real-Time Strategies.
Sony's SingStar will be sent to the stand with our one-face review. You'll enjoy that, won't you, Darren?
Oh, I switched off.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
We'll also be dissecting games and answering more of your questions in Ask Good Game.
Never gonna tell.
Don't forget to drop by the forums.
Hurt you.
Until next week, Bajo.
Tell each other forcing. Rerouting power, switching to internal atomic battery. That won't work anymore, Bajo.
Stop working!
This is a triumph. I'm making a note here. Great success.
It's hard to overstate my satisfaction. Aperture science. We do what we must because we can. Except those workers. For the mistake we just keep on.